Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be going over cron jobs. And what is a cron job? A cron job is pretty much a background process that's running all the time, and you can actually enter text into a file to actually manipulate it to make it so that it will run at a certain time of day or a certain day of the week or a certain month. So it's perfect for automating tasks if you need to do something that's more tedious that you don't want to have to actually manually go in and check, or if you want to just be updated on what's going on with your server, you can actually make a script, or if you just want to update your server, this is good for servers or home desktops. You can find applications that use the cron tab. Now, to select an editor, once you first enter crontab-e, that's going to be the command to actually enter and manipulate the text. With Ubuntu and some other distributions, it's actually going to give you an option to pick what editor that you would like to use while you're actually editing it. But there are some distros like CentOS that just go off of what your default editor is. So, and this also applies for Ubuntu. If you want to change what your default editor is for Ubuntu, even after you selected it the first time, if you want to change it up, say for instance you picked VI the first time you entered into the cron tab, you can actually change it using the same method. And you're just going to use the command export visual equals nano right here, or export editor equals nano, or whatever editor that you want, VI, Vim, and so on. Now, to select the time that you want to run your commands, this is what a lot of people have a little more difficulty with. They're going to give you a nice little text box right here whenever you enter into your cron tab, and it's just going to give you a brief description to remind you of how to actually enter in the times. But pretty much here, the first field is going to be the minute field, the hour field, the day of the month, the month field, the day of the week, and then afterwards you're just going to put your command. Now, if you want it to run every time, say for instance we're going to be doing minute here, you want it to run every minute, you're just going to put a star. And if you want to actually select a certain minute or a certain hour and so on, you're just going to actually put a number. And this is where this comes in over here. Your options are for the minutes is 0 to 59, for hours is 0 to 23, the day of the month is going to be 1 to 31, and so on. Now, I just have a few examples right down here. I want this to run every 4:30 p.m. So that's just going to be, the first field is going to be 30 for the 30 minutes, and it's going to be 16 for the 4 p.m. So it is in military time. Like, say for instance you want it to run every 2 minutes after a certain period of time, or this will also work with day of the month field. You're just going to put a star, then a slash. Say for instance right here, every 2 minutes after 4 a.m. it's going to run that command. So you're just going to put a star, then a slash, then a 2, and then we're selecting the 4 right here. So every day after 4 a.m. it's going to run this command every 2 minutes. And if you're still having a little bit of trouble with it, there is a website here which is like a calculator. You can type what you want to put in there and actually see what time it's going to be. And I'm going to have a link inside of the description so you can actually get to this website, and I'll show you that real quick before we get into the terminal. Alright, so here's that Crontab calculator I was talking about. So you can just enter in what you want right here, and you can have a real world representation of what it is up here. So right here it's 4:05. If I end up putting, let's say 16, and it's going to be run every day at 16:05, and you can also just put like this right here. So we want to do this every 30 minutes after 1600. So we could just put a star and then a 16 or a 30. So this is going to run every 30 minutes after 1600. And let me just show you how to use Crontab inside of the terminal. So let's hop over there. Alright, now that we're inside of the terminal, this is a fresh install of Ubuntu right here. So I'm just going to type Crontab-E, and this is going to give us our option. So right now I'm going to actually select Nano, but this is what I was talking about with Ubuntu. It will actually give you the option of selecting what editor that you want to use. So I'm just going to put a 1 right here, and it's going to bring us right into Nano. Alright, now that we're in here, we're just going to go over actually how to put this in. You can see this is that little bit of text I was talking about earlier, so it gives you a little bit of a reminder whenever you hop in here on actually how to use cron tab. So right now we're just going to have this run every minute, and just going to do a little echo command, and we're just going to put that inside of a file on our home directory right now. So let's just do a */1 and then do a *****. And now pretty much what this is doing is saying every minute we're going to run this command, and also every hour for every day of the month, and for every month and every day of the week. And afterwards you're just going to put your command in right here. So I'm just going to do a echo, put a hello world. Okay, and now we're just going to put this inside of our root directory as hello world .txt. Now we can do a Control X, yes, and enter. Now we can CD, make sure we're inside of our home. You can see there's nothing here yet, and let me just skip a minute and let me actually get a text box show up. Alright guys, we did get that text to show up. So if I cat this out, now it's going to write hello world inside of this file every minute. So if I wait another minute, it's going to put another line of text that says hello world inside of this file, and it's going to continue to do that. You can run any command after. You can also make your scripts, and you can run scripts through this. It can be very useful. And another thing to note, every user is going to have their own cron tab. So say for instance we enter into a different user, so let me just add a user right here. Okay, and put this in. Alright, and put that through. So if I switch user into Linux, okay, now if I do a Crontab-E, you can see I have the option of selecting a different editor, and you can also see what the heck, oh my, what I put in here last isn't here. Well, it's actually inside of the root user's cron tab. So if I do a sudo and Crontab-E, now, and I don't have sudo, I don't have sudo as permissions. Now if I do a sudo Crontab-E, you can see here after I type this in, I am back inside of the root cron tab, and you can actually see this is where my command is for the cron tab. So every user is going to have their own cron tab, and you can also run pretty much if you're going to be running these commands, this is going to be ran as root inside of the root cron tab, and if you're going to be running a cron tab as a user, is going to just use it run it as a user. So if you're going to need sudo permissions or the root permissions, then it's not going to work with a user. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, like I said before, if you actually want to change what the editor that you are going to be using, you're just going to be using the export command. So let's do a export and then a visual and equals, let's do a VI, okay, and do a export and a editor, and do that as VI2, and I forgot the last apostrophe. Now if I enter into Crontab-E as this user, you can see that we're actually inside of VI instead of Nano. So that's very useful, especially if you're in a distribution like CentOS where it doesn't give you the option whenever you first enter into the cron tab. This is actually how you change it. You just change the default editor for this user. So, and this also obviously, like I said before, works for Ubuntu. If you do not like the selection that you originally picked, you can change it at any point. So, hope this was useful for you guys, and talk to you in the next one. Peace.